Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back on our Fortnite video, and in today's video I'm going to be going over 3 of my best tips to outplay other players. I can guarantee you the tips in this video that I'm going to share with you guys can really help you guys out a ton and just help you win a lot more gunfights and overall just be able to outplay the other opponents very easily. And before we get into the video, I have a weekly V-Buck giveaway. I'm going to be giving away V-Bucks every single Friday, and if you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, all you guys need to do is to drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and as well subscribe to my second channel. I post a ton of really good content on there, so make sure you guys do subscribe. Turn on my post notifications and as well leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And if you guys would like to support me as a creator in the item shop, all you have to do is go over to the item shop, go into the bottom right hand corner, support a creator, and type in my code. My code is Young Humor. Type it in and you guys will have me supported as a creator. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to give you guys 3 very useful tips that you guys can use to outplay other players and just overall give you a huge advantage in this game. So starting off, the first tip that I want to give you guys, and this is going to have to do with landing off spawn. And this is going to be huge because this is going to give you guys a huge advantage at the start of the game, in the early game, right off the start. Because I think landing in this game is also very important. You always want to have a very good land so you guys can get the weapons first, get the chest spawn, everything like that. So there's a lot of things considered. I think landing is probably one of the most important things because if you don't have a very good land, you're going to be dying game after game. But there's one thing in particular that I wanted to talk about that I think is going to be very useful and very helpful for a ton of you guys. So what happens a lot of times, and especially for me, I like to go for a lot of kills. So I'm going to be landing at those hot drop areas, so Pleasant Park, Paradise Palms, and sometimes even Tilted. I haven't really been landing Tilted very much because I really don't like the way the layout is. I feel like a lot of you guys feel the same way, and I haven't seen as many people go Tilted as they previous before when it came out, and especially in the past previous seasons. I mean, Tilted would be packed game after game, but I feel like recently there's not as many people. But when you're landing at these locations, one thing that's very good and very useful that you can do is once you're landing, so if you land a place like in this gameplay where I landed at Pleasant Park, what you can do is as you're landing, instead of landing and then looking for the weapon, because of course if you land at a different location where you have weapons on top of the buildings, it's very easy to see, but I'm talking really just mainly focus like you're going to places with buildings, is once you're landing, you actually want to look, instead of trying to try to beat the other player to the doorway, one thing to do that's very useful is when you're landing coming in front of a building, what you want to do instead is while you're landing, you want to look inside of the building and try to locate the weapons, the shield inside of the building. And a lot of times what you can do is as you're landing, maybe you see absolutely nothing, you can change directions, and what happens a ton of the times is, and this happens a ton when you land with someone else, is you notice on these things, you pick up on them, and you notice maybe an M16 or maybe a shotgun through the window. So the second you get into the building, you go immediately to that weapon and you can outplay the other player because you know exactly where the gun is and you're going to have that advantage. So when you're landing, what you want to do, like I said, is you want to look through the windows, through the doorways, anything that you can inside of the building right before you land to see or try to figure out exactly where the guns are that are going to be in the building. Of course, you guys know where the chest spawns is and everything like that, but sometimes the chest doesn't spawn there. It's kind of a 50-50, so I'd honestly just recommend landing somewhere where you can find a gun 100% of the time. So when you're landing, right before you land, look inside of the building, you can really locate and see exactly where everything is. That's what I would highly recommend doing, and just is such a useful tip because you can destroy a lot of people very easily, because the second you go into the building, even if there's someone else right there, you can grab the gun because you know exactly where it is and how to get to it the quickest. So that's just a very useful tip I think you guys should be putting into your game if you guys don't already do that. And so moving on to the second tip of my video, and this is also another thing that's very, very important. It's something that's just so crucial that every single one of you guys know and start using in your game, because you're going to be able to use this to outplay pretty much every single player you go against. It works even against the really good players in this game because it's just so unexpected. So one thing that's happening a ton when you ramp up, you're going to be ramping up using a cone. So if someone's on high ground, this works the best when you're below someone, you're ramping up and you ramping up with cones. So most of you guys who are ramping up, you're going to be using cones to block off enemy fire when you're running up. So when you're blocking up using cones, one thing that's going to happen every single time, because you're going to be ramping up placing cones time and time again, and it's going to be very predictable for the other player. So there's one thing that you can do that's going to catch every single person off guard. You guys can trust me. And so I'm building over right now to kind of show you the positioning of someone that would be someone you would be trying to fight. So, like I said, you have low ground, you're trying to ramp up, and you're fighting someone on this kind of high ground. They're going to be looking right down at you. And so you're going to be coming from this side, and so you want to ramp up, you want to try to go for high ground. You're going to be placing a cone and going for a shot. And so you're going to be going for a player that's around. Sometimes they're really not that high, maybe they're like 1 or 2 stories up. And so they're going to expect you to just ramp up like this, where you're just placing the ramp and then you're placing the pyramid or the cone, and then you're just continually running up. And so the other person on top is going to look exactly where you're editing and try to go for the shot on you, and they're going to try to get as many tags on you as possible. So when you're ramping up, what you want to do instead that's very, very effective is once you place the cone, like I said, they're going to expect you every single time to run up straight. So what you want to do instead is when you're ramping up, you place the cone, you immediately want to back up and take a shot right off the back of the cone up on the player on top. And this works, I'm telling you, every single time this works without fail, because the guy's going to be looking up, he's going to look exactly where you're placing the cone, and there's no way they're going to expect it unless you already done this previously in the gunfight. There's absolutely no way that they can predict this and be ready for it. So if you peek off the bottom of the cone where you look up and go for the shot of the player on top, I guarantee you're going to be hitting this shot every single time. And these are one of the shots, I mean, unless they're really close to you, you're not going to be hitting for 150 damage from that range. You might hit the player about 40, maybe a 60 on a really good shot, hit a headshot maybe 75 or 80, but either way, you're going to be doing a little bit of damage to them that's more than necessary. You're going to be knocking off their shield, whatever the case may be, and it's going to be a free shot because they're going to be peeking at you so hard, they're going to expect you, because every single player they're going into is going to do the exact same thing where they place the cone, they edit through, and then they constantly just ramp up and do the same thing. So once you jump back and go for the shot, I guarantee you they're not going to be peeking that corner anymore. It's going to allow you to have a very good chance for going for high ground, and then from there, of course, you're going to keep ramping up and going from shots every so often, because once you do that once, it's going to be very hard and they're going to be very reluctant to peek, because once you do it once, they're going to be looking down and they're going to kind of in the back of their mind think that you might go for it again. And even if you don't, it's just going to be one of those things that they have to think about, and they're not going to be able to fully do what they want to do. They're going to have to worry about you going for the shot every single time. So that's just another useful tip that you guys need to be using in your game. It works every single time. And even the really good players that I go against, this is just so hard to predict unless you've been doing in the gunfight like every single time. It's very hard to predict. It's not something you really have too much control over. Unless you know it's coming and you know players are going to do it, there's no way you can counter it at all. So this is something that's very, very useful, and I would highly recommend learning how to do this and do it every single game. And so the next thing that I want to be talking about in this video is kind of my strategy when it comes to fighting players who are in boxes or in 1x1s. It's nothing like a crazy tip or anything like that. It's just really my approach to it and exactly how I go about playing these type of players. I'm talking about public matches. I'm not really talking about the pros with zero ping and they're sitting on their keyboard and mouse spamming like this. I mean, you're not going to get control of any of their walls, and it's going to be absolutely nothing you can do unless you use an exploit where you use the where you get the wall one shot. You shoot it with the shotgun, and I'm pretty sure that still works. And then they have the flintlock pistol where you place a ramp, you edit it, and then you can use that to launch inside of their box. So there's a few things you can do when it comes to using exploits to get inside of their box. And with the flintlock, like I said, it's basically you make a ramp like that, use the flintlock, and you go right inside no matter what. But I'm talking about when you're going against someone in a public match, because like I said, when those really try-hard players on keyboard and mouse, there's nothing you can do at all. They're just going to be spamming like this. It's just pretty much useless at that point unless you have smoke grenades or something like that. But what I do is I make both the walls one shot on one of the sides, so I pretty much hit my pickaxe once on one side, and then I hit it once on the other side. This way they're both one shot, and it makes it very unpredictable for the guy inside to really know exactly what side I'm on. If you really want to, you can make 3 of the walls one shot, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference. And then you kind of just want to play around with it. You can maybe pretend to jump up and then come down and then immediately hit their wall, because all you need is a split second to get off that wall, and then you can have control of their wall and do anything from there. So another thing that I do when someone's in a box and I want to go for a fight like there, I'm going to edit the ramp like this pretty much the majority of times, and I'm going to explain exactly why I do that. So when I'm on this side and I want to go for an edit on a player who's on the opposite side, And when I go for the edit on the ramp, from that player's perspective, they're going to be inside of the ramp, which means you can shoot right through it. And then from their perspective, as you can see, it's very hard to see. You're not going to be able to shoot the guy back unless you get absolutely lucky, or you have some crazy aim assist. Anything like that might work. But when you flip the ramp that way, and the player who is, if they're in the corner, it's going to glitch right through them, and you're going to be able to shoot them right through the ramp, and it's just going to give you a wide open shot from their screen. They're not going to be able to see you, and on your screen, you're going to shoot right through the ramp, and it's just going to be an easy and wide open shot. And with that being said, that's wrap it up for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys liked it. And if you guys could, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on my notifications so you're notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.